I was medevac from Japan to Brooke. It's probably at that time probably the best burn unit in the United States. It was on the cutting edge of burn units. Civilians were there. It was really renowned. And it was the best burn center there was at that time. And so I spent a couple of months there. And the rest of my Army career after that, but that was my last. I was wounded November 6, 1970. And I died. Well, at least they thought I was going to die the morning of Thanksgiving, 1970, in the hospital. See, burn wounds are funny. They're not like gunshot wounds. You can die a month later from them. And my wife, who's a retired nurse, said it's because of your breathing and everything is affected because of the loss of the liquids in your body. I went down to 106 pounds. So yeah, I look like an escapee from Auschwitz. And on that Thanksgiving morning, 1970, because, I didn't really sleep like you and I know sleep for that first 2 weeks I was there. It was like I was in a constant nightmare, and I never got to sleep. And I never got to drink water either. All they did was give me Gatorade because of the electrolytes. I would have given my right arm to have a couple glasses of water. The first 2 weeks I was in the burn unit, I got no water. I used to think about water all the time. No water. After that, I couldn't drink Gatorade for the next 15 years after that. Anyway, one night, they had me on a circle bed. You know what a circle bed is? They got a flippy every 4 hours because it was burning on my back too. And to heal. So and so I was on my belly like that. They got liquid, you had Gatorade and a big long straw. You're like a fly, And suddenly, it's like I don't remember going to sleep or anything, but suddenly I'm out of my body. And I'm looking at myself in the circle bed. I said, well, that's odd. Why is that? The next thing, these are just things I remember today. Still remember it. I'm looking at my hands were all like claws. I couldn't do anything. I'm walking, and it felt like I was walking on water or something. Just what it felt like. And the next thing I know, I'm in contact with an entity, which I felt very good. I hadn't crossed the wire all the way. The entity was on the other side. And it wasn't talking like I'm talking, but I knew exactly what it was saying. And I remember it saying, are you ready to come home now? I don't remember answering. The next thing I remember, I feel like I'm in a tunnel. And I know people are close. There's a sense of urgency. And I know people are close to me. But their voices sound like way, long way. They don't sound like they're close to me. My head is to the left. I can't move a finger. I can't even bat an eye. And I'm just laying there and I'm listening. And the next thing I know, a set of hands is putting my head up. I want to say something because I don't want anybody touching my head. But that's impossible. The next thing I know, I wake up and it's morning and I'm sitting there in the damn wheelchair. We had these old wheelchairs, really uncomfortable. And the pain and everything is there. And I thought, wow, what a dream. Well, they had Ward 14, they had 2 wards for the burn unit, 14A and 14B. 14B was the critical ward, which my first 2-3 weeks was in 14B. And guy went ambulatory was when he went down to 14A. And so I'm down at 14A. And they had a program where the guys get you in a wheelchair, take you up to 14B, and give the other guys that are really having trouble like you, or give them encouragement. Because we had a thing up at 14B called the Chamber of Horrors. And every morning you got debriefing. You knew your time too. You could hear the screams in the hallway. All they gave me was value. They didn't give you pain meds. And they taking the dead skin off. And you knew what time your time was. 7:45 was mine. And you could hear them screaming down the hall. You heard a tea tank with a little water in it. Yeah. Anyway, so it was my turn to go up to give him a wheelchair. They brought me up, and he had this, he was a ward master of this guy. I had 2 guys die in each unit had like 3 guys in it. One guy came from Japan, Louis, he was a Chinese American kid. And he was able to walk. I had to be carried in Japan. I couldn't walk. But Louis came up and sat on a chair by me once and tried to talk to me. I just thought it was me, but I didn't understand what he was saying. He didn't look bad. He had his pajamas and stuff on. And he went with me. He was in my cubicle at Brook. He got it inside. And he died. And there was a kid when I got there named Marco. I didn't know who he was. He was already there when I got there. He was in the bed next to me. And his legs were really burned bad. I didn't see all of it. He started kicking the legs at night and shit. And I'm laying there on the circle bed one night, and I looked, and it was about 2 in the morning, and they came in with a gurney, and they put his body on the gurney and covered him with a sheet. I still remember laying there looking and watching him go down the hall. I never met Marco. He was out of it when I got there. But Louis, I knew, and he died. So there's a reason I'm telling you. So when I came up, Ward Master saying, yeah, he said, shit. He said, yeah, you were in a bad luck cubicle. You know, you lost Louis and Marco both. And I said, yeah. He said, we thought you were number 3 on Thanksgiving. I said, what? I didn't even know what he's talking about. He says, yeah, he stopped breathing. Because it was like early in the morning, yeah. And then I told him about what happened, what I just told you. He said, well, I don't know about the walking on the water or anything like that, but the guy that was taking your head and putting it up was me. He said, there were precaution masks on you. I said, so that really happened? He said, yeah. And you don't remember that? I said, yeah, I remember. I thought it was a dream. He said, that was no dream. And I said, so that's not a dream. What about the other part? So, I've been a Christian ever since. I got some real funny stories from the birds in it too. It's funny as hell. Those guys would crack me up. I had this one guy named Red. He was a door gunner or something. Ears are the first to go up. That's why they're very care about your ears. My ears got burned, but they were able to keep them. They're all grafted now. You look, you can see all the grafts on them. But Red lost both of his ears, and he's a joker. So we're down in the snake. He's waiting for the prosthesis. Yeah, prosthesis. Ears he was waiting on. Okay. Yeah, they're prosthesis. Yeah, you don't want to walk around with stubs, you know. So I'm in the snack bar. You know, and you got your line up here. Everybody's in their robes and bathroom, you know, pajamas. And I'm sitting there, a couple guys. Red's in the line. And I'm well, the ears, they look like they're on backwards. What? I said, Red. I said, come here. Hey, man. I said, I see you got your new ears. I said, I think you got them on backwards or something. He goes, I don't want anybody to know. I don't let anybody, it's because I don't want anybody sneaking up on me. I said, true. So that was Brooke. And anyway, then I was in the Army for 20 years, you know, and retired November 1983.
Discover real results with Olay. For brighter, firmer or smoother skin, find your perfect match with Olay.
Well, I want to start off by getting a little bit of background on you, where you grew up and what life was like when you were a kid.
I was one of 4 children. I was the oldest of 4. My dad was a career Army officer, so he was in the military for 36 years, and consequently we moved every 3 years. It was a process of going to a new school, making sure you beat up the bully and get to know new friends, and so he's up there. Those are his decorations. He retired as Chief of Staff at Walter Reed.
He was a Silver Star recipient as well?
He was, absolutely, World War II.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he talk about his service in World War II?
He didn't talk a lot, no. I know he went in, he got the Silver Star with having to do with D-Day. He went in, he was the first medical unit in Germany. He actually went in on a glider, and he hurt his back pretty severely, which bothered him the rest of his life. But he was, he was my hero.
And I'm sure that influenced how you viewed the military as you got pushed, 18. I'm sure that had to have affected.
It did. Yeah, and plus growing up in the military, see, all the kids you knew, their dads were, or their mothers were in the military. And so, it did influence me a bit.
So when did you actually go into the Army?
I went into the Army right after I graduated from high school. I got into the reserves primarily because I needed some money helping me get through college. So I was in the reserves for 3 years. I went in 1962, and I was in the reserves for 3 years. During that time, I was in college also, and I got commissioned when I graduated in 1966.
And when you get commissioned, is Vietnam on your radar at all?
It is. It was, it was all, as you got into, went through summer camp, we went through jump school, it was all we talked about, and a lot of the guys that we were, some of the instructors that we had been to Vietnam one tour. There was a guy I went through jump school with who'd been back come back from Vietnam. He was with the 173rd. So yeah, I would say that was on our mind. Sure. Yeah. And then Cuban, I was in college when the Cuban Missile Crisis was going on, and actually the reserve unit that I was part of got basically put on standby because they were concerned that the Russians had placed nukes on Cuba, and so all the military units, all the reserve units in the southern part of the country were placed on standby.
So did you, you're going through airborne schools. Did you want to go to Vietnam, or was that just something that?
I volunteered to go to Vietnam. Actually, I was initially assigned to a position when I got commissioned. I was assigned to a unit in Fort Lewis, Washington, and after about 9 months there, I volunteered and actually contacted a friend of my father's in the Pentagon and said, can you make this happen? So, I was quickly shipped off to Vietnam.
Who'd you ship out with? What unit?
Actually, I flew over on a big yellow Braniff. I thought this is crazy. I'm going to war in a big yellow airplane. And as we approached the coast of Vietnam, there was, it was full of other people who were coming in as replacements. You could see the artillery shells landing in the distance and the explosions, and I thought, this is something to tell my kids. I flew into war on a big yellow Braniff plane. It looked like a banana, and we had great stewardesses. It was wonderful. I shipped over, and I actually was assigned to the 4th Infantry at the replacement depot.
How did the guys from the 4th Infantry treat you when you came in as a replacement? Did they accept you, or?
As an officer, it's a little different, but everybody who comes in is, the FNG, the fucking new guy, who's stupid and who doesn't know what to do and can get you killed if you're too close to him. And, that was pretty pervasive throughout, my 2 tours of Vietnam. You had to watch out for the new guys. You had to watch out for, to make sure that, they actually had their stuff together, that they actually had their weapons loaded, that sort of thing. Yeah, I would say, I was assigned to an infantry platoon as a platoon leader, and there was, I'm sure, there was a little skepticism among, particularly, among some of the non-commissioned officers. But my dad had told me, sergeants run the military, and get to know them and listen to them, and I took advice, and I got along pretty well, pretty quickly.
And how long was it when you joined the 4th Infantry before you actually started going out on combat operations?
It was probably 2 weeks. You have an introductory sort of indoctrination when you're there at base camp, and then you go out with some on a couple of small patrols around base camp, and then you're assigned to your unit and you're out in the field.
Now, how long was it before you made your first contact with the enemy doing these type of patrol or these operations?
We were doing patrolling in the Central Highlands. We were, aware of the enemy. We had units that were with our battalion. I was assigned to the 3rd Battalion, 8th Infantry. We had units that did get into contact, and I would say probably it was another 3 or 4 weeks before we actually got into a situation where we walked into a potential ambush. We actually were fortunate